prolapse or hypotonic pelvic floor, you can certainly put a blanket over this to make it a little bit more comfortable. We don't need to release your tissue as much. You'll just want to sit on an egg in a way that you can feel if you are actually able to do your contracting or lifting up of the pelvic floor, your Kegels, your Kegels, whatever you want to call them. You can kind of play around with some of those variations, and remember to do variations of those exercises. They're not always the same, okay? And more information about that is in the modules. If you have a tight pelvic floor, it's actually best if you can get right on the ball without a blanket if possible, but if you're really tight and tender, you can always put a blanket on top of it if you need to. And I find you can play around with, how many layers of a blanket is on it. So you can keep it pretty thick and then decrease. All right, moving on. Let's get to it. So you literally are going to just sit on the egg, folks. So find your way onto that ball, however that is most graceful and comfortable for you. And you're going to sit on it. And you're going to try to find the space where you are kind of in front of the anus and behind either the vaginal opening or the scrotum. And also notice if your body's holding a lot of tension. Now, as I'm saying that, if you find that you're like, whoa, trying to hold tension somewhere, like the knees are kind of coming in, you can always put bolsters under the knees. Or you can say, okay, my body is saying, not today. And you can always add any layer of bolstering to this in the sense of kind of creating some cushion, if you will, right? So like right away, my body said, okay, my ankles like that better. And I could shift my weight back. So even though my pelvic floor was fine with the ball, my ankles needed a little cushion under them to help me come back into more ease here. And now you quite simply just try to breathe on the ball. I'm going to give you one more option here. Some of you may not have the ball. You can certainly use pillows, cushions. You can use different types of balls and just bolster it more with a blanket. You can also try this exercise sitting on a foam roller. So kind of like you're sitting on a horse. You would have your feet out to each side like you're in a deep squat, or your knee down to each side, and you would be straddling the roller. That's another way to get into the same space. It's not as intimate, but in the sense of your body being able to mold over the ball. The foam roller is a different shape, obviously, so it doesn't quite have the same effect, but it can certainly get into some of that tight tissue for you and help open up some space.